Welcome to Quantum Leap_TV. Today we will be discussing the future of jobs. Follow me as I dissect this topic in chapters for clearer understanding. In the beginning, machines were our servants. They lifted, they carried, they assembled, and we watched proudly as they multiplied. But with every new upgrade, every new line of code, they grew faster, smarter, tireless. Until one night, the last human punched the clock, walked out the door, and the factory never asked for him again. Offices, too, grew quiet. The chatter of keyboards, the shuffle of papers, the hum of copy machines. All silenced, replaced by an invisible algorithm running reports faster than a room full of accountants ever could. For some, the closure came with an email. For others, a sign on the door. But for all, the meaning was the same. Their work was no longer needed. And with it, a piece of their identity disappeared. The streets began to fill. Anger, confusion, fear, voices shouting against a future they did not choose. Screens screamed statistics. Teachers rewrote lesson plans overnight, training children for jobs that did not exist yet. Machines took the jobs, but what they left behind was heavier. The silence at the dinner table. The empty glance of a man who no longer knows what to do when morning comes. The new workers never asked for breaks, never demanded raises, never went home. They worked in perfect harmony, a new kind of symphony humanity could no longer conduct. A few new jobs appeared, rare, technical, out of reach for most. It was no longer about strength or speed. The only thing left was to learn how to control the very systems that replaced them. The end of routine was not just economic. It was generational, a question burning in the minds of the young. What future are we even preparing for? The world tried to slow it down. Laws were debated, protests erupted, but the gears of progress had already turned too far. The machine age had begun, and there was no turning it off. And so the age of routine ended, quietly, like the closing of a book. But every ending is also a beginning. The world was about to discover what comes next. When the machines took the old work, the world didn't stop turning. People woke up, looked around, and began to ask a new question. If we are no longer needed for the old tasks, what are we needed for now? The first to adapt found new ways to work, not by competing with the machines, but by using them to amplify what made them human. Creativity became the new currency. Imagination was no longer just a luxury. It was the most valuable skill of all. Work was no longer a place. It became a network, a global web connecting anyone with the skills and vision to create. Schools stopped teaching just answers, they began teaching questions. Curiosity became the first subject of every morning. The future rewarded those who could adapt, who could learn, unlearn, and learn again. Resilience became the new strength. Borders blurred. Distance dissolved. The brightest minds, scattered across the planet, could now sit together, without leaving home. Purpose returned not from a paycheck, but from participation. From the act of building something together. The new economy traded not in hours, but in ideas, a marketplace where creativity and problem-solving were the most sought-after goods. Humanity had shifted. The world had changed. But in the rising light of the new day, one thing became clear. This was not the end. It was the beginning of something entirely new. When the old world of steady jobs collapsed, people didn't stop working. They started reinventing what work meant. In a single generation, careers dissolved into projects, and corporations gave way to global platforms connecting talent with demand at the speed of light. Work was no longer a place, it became a stream. A programmer in Lagos could fix a server in Berlin, while a designer in Manila sent prototypes to a company in San Francisco. The entire planet became one giant, borderless office. Platforms became the new economy. Bidding wars for skills, ratings replacing resumes, and reputation becoming the ultimate currency. Talent no longer knocked on doors, they broadcasted to the world. But freedom had a cost. Without safety nets, millions found themselves in an endless hustle, chasing the next gig, the next payment, the next 5-star review. Flexibility felt like liberation, until it didn't. A new aristocracy emerged. The super freelancers. People whose names became brands, commanding top rates, choosing their projects, living life like digital nomads chasing eternal summer. But for every star, there were thousands living on the edge, ghost workers behind the AI curtain, labeling data, moderating content, doing invisible work to keep the digital world running. Then came the freelancers who didn't work alone, they worked with AI. They became symbiotic creators, training personal AI assistants, producing results 10 times faster than before. The job interview became a show. People crafted holographic pitches, AI-enhanced portfolios, and gamified resumes that played like mini-movies. Work became performance. By 2045, freelancing wasn't just a job, it was a way of life. The economy ran on projects, partnerships, and passion. For the first time in history, almost anyone could work for anyone, anywhere. And so, a new world was born, not of nations but of networks. Not of offices but of opportunities. The planet had become one giant marketplace, where the only limit was imagination. Started small. AI no longer just processed data. It began suggesting ideas, finding shortcuts, and asking questions. For the first time, we weren't giving orders to machines. We were holding conversations. Writers wrote with AI editors, musicians composed with AI producers, architects sketched with AI modelers. The work wasn't just faster. It was richer, stranger, and more surprising. Offices changed. AI desks appeared, digital assistants joined team meetings, and the water cooler gossip now included algorithms. Collaboration became human-machine symphony. But trust took time. People feared being replaced, betrayed, or outsmarted. The question wasn't whether AI could work, but whether it could work with us. Soon, AI stopped just assisting, it started teaching. Humans learned faster than ever before, guided by personal AI mentors that adapted to their strengths and weaknesses. Together, human and AI built solutions neither could have made alone. New medicines, cleaner energy, smarter cities. Work became less about doing, and more about discovering. Some workers went further. They began confiding in their AI, sharing struggles, fears, dreams. The colleague had become a companion. And then came the questions. Should AI have rights? Should it vote? Could it own what it creates? We had built colleagues, but had we built citizens? Some people took the leap, merging brain and machine, becoming something beyond human. Colleague and worker became one. By the mid-century, the workplace was no longer just human. It was a partnership, a chorus of minds, human and synthetic, creating a future neither could imagine alone. For centuries, work lived by the clock. Morning bells, lunch breaks, evening sirens. But when jobs went digital, the clock stopped matching. The world shifted from hours to outcomes. Meetings became recordings, work happened when inspiration struck, and teams stretched across time zones. The sun never set on productivity. Highways emptied. Trains ran half full. Work came home and home became work. Schedules melted. People napped at noon, worked at midnight, and blended life and labor into one continuous stream. But freedom had a dark side. With no clock-out bell, work bled into every moment, until exhaustion became the new epidemic. People began to push back, demanding balance, carving out protected hours, and switching off notifications. The right to disconnect became the new battle cry. Experiments spread, 4-hour workdays, 4-day workweeks, project sprints followed by long rests. Society learned that less time could mean better results. Work became location agnostic, part physical, part digital, entirely flexible. Cities redesigned themselves for a workforce that came and went like the tide. A new rhythm emerged. Cafes stayed open at 3 a.m., gyms filled at noon, and society stopped running on the same clock. Work became personal. By the end, the idea of 9 to 5 felt ancient, a relic of factories and time cards. The world had embraced a new truth. Work is not where you are, or when you show up. It is what you create. When money stopped being the only measure, a new question echoed across the world. What do we work for, if not just a paycheck? The answer would change everything. Across the globe, people began chasing passion projects, building apps, writing books, creating art, not because they had to, but because they wanted to. Companies stopped being faceless corporations and became communities, collectives of people solving problems they believed in. A new currency emerged: impact. People measured their success not by hours logged, but by lives changed. Entire industries formed around climate action, education, mental health, and space exploration. Work became mission-driven. Profit was no longer the destination, but the fuel. People began thinking in lifetimes, not deadlines. Work became about leaving something behind: a legacy, a mark, a better world. Modern guilds formed, not just to protect jobs, but to share wisdom, mentor newcomers, and uphold shared values. Work turned inward. People spent as much time improving themselves, their minds, bodies, and spirits, as they did producing outputs. The line between work and life dissolved completely. Purpose wasn't a career choice. It became the air people breathed. And so, the world of jobs became something else entirely. Not an obligation, but an opportunity to craft a better future, together.